Welcome back, everyone, to episode 19 of the Play It Down Sports Podcast. We're kicking things off with another round of Boneheads of the Week. Then we dive into our college pro picks. Sorry, no PGA tournament this weekend. They're off. Then we'll look at some winners and losers from the NFL from Week 8, as well as our overreactions. We got a few choices this week. Finally, we'll recap our bets, look at where we're standing, as well as some futures from Jonesy that he's looking at. Remember to always bet responsibly, and please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Play It Down Golf for all of our picks. You can also catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you hit that follow and like button. Grab your beverage of choice, and let's play it down. All right, Jonesy. Week 2 of I guess it's actually week 3 of the leg. How's the recovery coming?
Oh, you know what? It's so far so good, I would say. So it happened. The surgery was 2 weeks ago today, and tomorrow I have my post-op. The first appointment where they'll kind of take the brace off and the wrap off and take a look at the leg. I've been pretty lucky. It's pretty pain-free for the most part, which is a bit unusual when you have something like this where you're getting this level of surgery. Been getting by with an occasional Tylenol, and that's been it.
Nice.
So that's been working. A lot of good support too from family and friends. I went over a little bit of this last week, but there's a few things I like to do in the morning, and I'm getting like Rob Cantrell. Shout out to him. He and Sean O'Leary have been occasionally and actually pretty regularly bringing me bagel and hot tea, which used to be my run that I love to do in the morning. So you got people who are kind of looking out for you, right? These small little things are meaningful when you're a little bit strapped, and having the remote job is great because I really haven't missed much of a beat there. So one side note is I was supposed to be in Las Vegas this week for a conference and looking forward to it. Obviously, it's a great location, especially for us. But I was, I had to cancel that, obviously. Couldn't travel, and was able to get a member of my team to go in my spot. The conference was very accommodating and said, hey, if you can get a replacement, they can just fill in for you. And one of the young members of my staff, Ethan, went out there. He had a blast, and the conference was a great experience for him. So a little bit of, make it lemonade, lemon.
Any chance any more airplane or air flying stories?
I haven't heard about that actually, but
you never
know
though,
what?
Right?
But they're coming back today. The flights home are today, so that could make next week. You never know.
You never know.
We could have some knuckleheads, boneheads things coming up based on more air flights.
Well, speaking of boneheads, should we start?
Yeah, before we do that though, what do you got for your beverage tonight? I don't see one in front of you.
It is here.
Okay,
so
I see it now.
Here.
Yeah.
It is a Stella. I grabbed the wrong mug. Sorry about that. John LaBianca's not going to be happy with you. He'll be a little upset, but I'm promoting Plex. For any of you IT nerdy movie people, they'll know what Plex is. But look up Plex. It's a media server that's pretty cool and fun to play with.
Awesome. And I like the hat. It looks like you're sporting a hat.
So this is my son's Lynn University. So I got my son's hat, and I got my daughter's school. I got Coastal, which we do have Coastal playing tomorrow night. It is not in my picks, but
you might put Marshall. A little action on that, right?
I probably I like them. I like them. They're playing Marshall, who's having a down year. So I might throw a few bucks on Coastal tomorrow night, but we'll see. Or Thursday night. This will come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And what are you drinking? I saw you with a glass of wine there.
I've got a red. I went about 10, 12 days without drinking anything, right, as I was trying to make sure I was getting properly hydrated. I'm sort of slowly moving back to drinking red wine. I have a Merlot tonight from my Cameron Hughes collection, and it's a lot number 931, and one of my favorites. I go back to it quite a bit, and very smooth. So enjoying that. And I got a hat here from Picatinny that you just actually got for me with some credit that I had that I needed to close out because I can't get in a car and drive anywhere right now. So I thought tonight was a good night to have
that credit. How did you acquire that credit?
I finished third in my flight in a club championship up there in the top 3. Got a little bit of credit, but I won't be getting any credit playing golf for a while. That's for sure.
No, you're on the mend for the next 9 months.
Yeah.
All right, we got some more boneheaded actions of the week. We're gonna move right on into this with.
Oh yeah,
Lamar and good old John.
Those two guys accumulated a 2-5 record between them somehow this year. They're still favorites to win that division, believe it or not. I look at it tonight; it's unbelievable.
I know. Well, their schedule coming up gets real easy. Their first 6 weeks were brutal, but that's not why they're on here. Apparently, they don't know how to fill out a report.
Right. So here's the thing with this, right? Like Lamar Jackson is, he's had a hamstring injury for a while. He's been unable to play, and he's missed several weeks, and they were on a bye, right? So they were coming off a bye after him missing 2 weeks of play with a 1-5 record, and I think everybody kind of thought he'd be healed and he'd be ready to go, and he was practicing. But as it got later in the week, apparently things weren't progressing quite the way they needed to for him to play. And it got to Friday, but he was listed as a full participant in practice. Now that basically will tip people off that he's good. He's good to go, right? And the line against the Bears was around a touchdown. It might have even tipped to 7.5. And then suddenly I noticed that line just swooned down to 3.5. And I knew right away that, he was probably not going to play. And that's exactly what happened. But what makes this sort of boneheaded and a little bit clueless on the part of John Harbaugh was to describe him as a full participant in practice when he really was not. He was really on the second team, the practice squad. He was definitely they were definitely leaning against not playing him. And to sort of basically represent that he was going to play with all the things right now, right? So you're supposed to be transparent in your injury report. Yep. You now have all this additional stuff around, what the other team is going to prepare for. You got the betting component of this. And it really creates a major, when you're not transparent about an injury report, it really is not a cool thing to do. And I think Harbaugh is apologized because it was misleading. And he's had a tough season. And this was just another gaffe on their part. Ironically, they go out and they win the game against the Bears. And a big win without Lamar. And all the people that were aggravated that they took him in Survivor survived, right? So at the end, it worked out. But it really was not, it's not one of those things that Harbaugh really needs to, reflect on this. And I think he has. But that's why these two guys, they're basically number 3 of the week. They're not at the top, but we thought this was enough to make the list. And it had a lot of coverage too.
It had a lot of coverage. And it's ironic because even in our text chat groups, and I think last week on the podcast, I had mentioned that it looked like he was going to play because the spread was so high. And,
it stayed there all week, and then
I
could not believe it when it dropped to 3.5. And again, you have a lot of people are really counting on understanding the transparent information when they're making decisions, whether it's who to bet on, whether the betting is, of course, a big part of what we do here. But when you think about it, you're supposed to be transparent for reasons that are more pure. Such as, your injury report is not supposed to be misleading for your opponent or for your fans or for anybody else, right? It's supposed to be an accurate portrayal of where things stand. So,
and one other,
you're not supposed to play games with your injury report,
right? And one aspect, I know people are gonna be like, "Well, I don't bet, I don't care." I mean, it's not up to the team to be, they don't owe anything to the gamblers and stuff like that. Well, that's true. until the NFL signed partnerships with DraftKings,
and decided they would take. They're happy to
FanDuel.
take the money out of
Listen,
this, right?
if you're going to sign a partnership deal, then you can't screw your partners.
That's
And
right.
what they
That's
did
right.
was not be fully transparent with their partners.
Right.
And I think that's why this was a bigger deal. And throw on top of what happened in the NBA, it's even becoming more of a big deal with
Yes.
gambling
Right.
having an eye on them right now.
Yep.
All right, we will switch to number 2, which again, I don't understand why more coaches don't watch our podcast, Tom. If they did, they would clearly understand what to do in fourth down situations.
Right. So
But-
this is this is a classic. So I'm gonna these coaches up here, and you got some nice shots of these guys, right? We always have to have the Titan coach up here, right? Now we got
It doesn't matter who the Titan coach is;
No,
they're going to make
doesn't
the
matter.
show.
Right?
They're making the show.
So far left is McCoy, right? The left, the Titan, the new Titan
left
coach from Brian Callahan. Dan Quinn, commander coach, and Moore.
Brian Schottenheimer.
Or Schottenheimer, rather. I don't know why I keep thinking of Moore, because he's the Saint coach. Maybe he should be in here too, right?
Maybe he should be. Yeah.
But Schottenheimer, right? So Schottenheimer, the Dallas Cowboy coach. So right. So why are these three guys in here? This is more to me. This fourth down decision making has gotten out of hand, and this analytics has gotten out of hand. And I'm an analytical guy. I'm an actuary by trade. I care about numbers. I care about using data to make decisions, but you have to have some intuition and some gut feel too, right? So Dan Quinn, the middle guy, right, is one of those. He's a Dan Campbell. The two of them, Dan Campbell and Quinn, will always seemingly be aggressive with their decisions. And one of those aggressions is on fourth down. They will go for it if they're kind of analytically told that it's the right move and they're inside of midfield. That's basically what they do. And Dan Quinn even was broadcasting that on the Monday Night Football game, that his view was, we're going to be aggressive. And he passed multiple times on opportunities to kick field goals or to punt in the early parts of the game when you're not in a spot where you have to take risk, where getting points could be important. And I understand against the Chiefs, you don't want to be settling for field goals all game. And he would tell me that. He would be like, Tom, with a law 48 or 62 or 59-yard field goal, whatever it would be, is not the right decision. I'm like, then Dan, punt the ball. You know, if it's 4th and 6, you don't have to go for it every single time early in the game. And meanwhile, we've got these other two clowns, right, who made decisions. So the Titans are 1-6, all right? They are playing the Colts down 10 points, and they have the ball in the second half inside of Colt territory. And it's 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, and they wind up deciding that they're going to punt the ball on 4th and 4, because on 3rd and 3 they got from the 42, they got a -1 yard. So the point here is there's a situation where it might make sense to go for it. You're later in the game. You're down 10 points. You're not a very good team. What's your best chance to beat the Colts? You make them stay on the field defensively. And if you turn it over, they're going to get the ball at the 40. You punt the ball out of the end zone, and on the next play, Jonathan Taylor runs 80 yards for a touchdown. You haven't gained much, right? And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
And the same thing happened with Schottenheimer in Dallas when they were down 13 points against Denver on the road in Denver territory, getting beat by 2 touchdowns into the second half, significantly into the second half. He chooses to punt, and Denver, starts and generates a grinding drive, burns the clock. And meanwhile, if you happen to go for that particular one and get it, you have a chance to put pressure on Denver. Maybe you cut the lead to 6, right? So it felt to me like these guys are not making the decisions at the right time in the game based on the circumstances. And it happens over and over and over again. And you watch it and you can tell that I would think if you polled most fans, they would get that answer right. And these coaches who are getting paid millions of dollars, seemingly, maybe it's the pressure you're under. Maybe it's like the indecision. You got to make the decision quick. I can sit and reflect on it and decide when it's boneheaded to put on this podcast. I get that that's a little bit different situation, but it doesn't feel like it should be as hard as it is for these guys. It really doesn't. So
I couldn't agree more. I don't. I know you don't like it. I mean, there's a ton of analytics in these games, and sometimes I still feel like coaches will go against what the sheet says because they think they're smarter than the analytics.
That's a fair point.
Now, on Quinn's side point, I think the analytics will probably tell him to go for it a lot of times, and his default move is to go for it, even when they say not to, or it's way more risk than the reward really is there.
Well, and I think that's the point, Scott. If Dan Quinn goes for it in the middle of the third quarter, right? Dan Campbell got burned going for it, for it in the championship game against the 49ers. It's not
multiple times.
The analytics might say that you should go for it, but the analytics is not able to determine the actual situation that the game is in. Correct. Are you up 10? Are you down? It's just a mathematical data-driven thing, right?
Correct.
Well, that data-driven thing is going to get trumped sometimes by the situation you're in, right? If you were up 17 points and you're at midfield and the analytics say to go for it, you might say, it's late third quarter. I'm pinning this team back. My defense is playing well. Why would I give them a chance to get the ball at midfield? The analytics would have disagreed with that. So, I mean, you can't always follow it, right? So,
anyway. I agree. So they've made our bonehead number 2 slot just poor coaching decisions yet again. And then we go to our number 1 slot.
Our favorite.
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
Little.
You want to talk about the cringy start of Brian Kelly, and we can then talk about the ending of his career?
Absolutely.
Do you see me now? Do you see me now, Brian?
I really don't know who told him why. Now, so this is during recruiting. The young gentleman here, I didn't even attend LSU. So this is during a recruiting trip.
He looks like he's ready to play for him, though. He's got the uniform on.
They bring him all in, right? They bring him in. They show him the stadium. They show him everything. They get him in uniform. And they say, oh, you're going to stand on this platform, and we have this 360-degree camera. We're going to take all this cool video. You can put it on TikTok for your socials and blah, 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 blah. And somewhere along the line, they said, hey, coach, why don't you stand next to a 17, maybe 18-year-old young man and act like a complete fool behind him? And I don't know,
You're passionate about this, Scooter. You're passionate about this.
I would have fired him after this happened rather than, again, he's on the job, I think, 4 months at this point, 3 months. This is like what this is so cringy. It's all right. I'm off the high horse. It's just cringy.
All right. So the thing really now, let's get past this part. Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame in the dark of the night, go to LSU to take a lucrative job and try to booster up that program. He does have a Heisman winner in Daniels. He has some success with that team. But as time went on, things got stale. Things did not progress. We've had an expanded, playoffs, and his team, did not make it last year. There was a lot higher expectations this year with Nussmeier as the quarterback, of somebody that I drank Kool-Aid on and put a Heisman win on early in the year. They came out and beat Clemson, who we thought was good. Now we know both teams are not good, right, as we've moved on. And but really the part that makes this for me is not so much what you're showing here, but that Brian Kelly started to really show that he is not a man of leadership. When he's yelling at his players on the sideline, when a media person, we almost put him on for some media performances where questions were being asked about his offense, after a game that he won. And he talks about one play where they ran for a large gain rather than the fact that their team offensively is incapable of doing anything. And, what showed now is that the whole team is leaking, right? They give up 49 points to Texas A&M this last week. And a game I drank the Kool-Aid on. I lost my double dog barking parlay on this guy. I've lost, my ability to win on them getting to the national championship is gone. And meanwhile, this guy's going to walk away with $50 million. And he had an attitude on his way out the door. The AD sat down with him and wanted to make some changes. He disagreed with the changes. It went sideways. And ultimately he got pushed out the door. But he's obviously going to have the last laugh with the money that he makes. But hopefully nobody hires this guy again. And meanwhile, he's going to be able to watch our podcast. He's going to get to watch our podcast do some hip hop and do some hip hop dancing with these guys. So maybe he can practice this and look less cringy to you, Scooter. I don't know. He's got some things he can do.
He'll never look less cringy because he's an old man, old white dude dancing with 18-year-olds. It does not matter. I can't do it. I can be no. Stop. But now I have a question. Did he leave Notre Dame in a good spot when he left? Were they because he didn't burn down. No, I don't think the Notre Dame thing was a bad thing. He had success there. I remember years ago going out on a trip with my son and some other baseball players and a father who was a huge Notre Dame fan. And, we went and that was when Kelly was just getting established there. And I would say he built the program up. But he hasn't done what Freeman's necessarily done. He took him to the championship game last year. Right? I agree. I'm just saying he didn't leave it in a bad spot where I think he's leaving LSU.
He is leaving them in a bit. Right. He's actually regressed as a leader and a coach. Right.
Correct.
And I think this picture, as much as it's cringy, shows that he wants to connect with the players. But when things don't go well, and they start to go sideways, what he showed was his leadership is a little bit choppy, right?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, so now, Brian, you get to the number one boneheaded and clueless actions of the week, and hopefully you're going to have a lot more money than the two of us doing this podcast. But Brian's going to listen to our
more
podcast
than James Franklin. He's getting more than James Franklin. We thought $50 million for Franklin was insane. He's got 54 coming.
If you make this podcast, you're not coaching, though. It doesn't. You're
not coaching, no.
All right.
All right. So those are our boneheads. We are going to move on to our picks of Week 10 for the college football season. I'll start us off, I guess.
Sure.
So my first game is Indiana at Maryland. Indiana is laying 21.5 points. They're going to roll into College Park, as this is in Maryland. They are second in the nation in averaging over 43 points a game, top 10 in rushing, and top 40 in passing. Maryland's offense has been inconsistent all year. Their biggest problem, their 130 ranked rushing offense. They can't get anything on the ground. Their defense has been giving up big plays all over the place. The Hoosiers have covered in 4 straight games. They're running on a heater, and I'm jumping on board. They're a top 3 scoring defense, allowing just 11 points a game, and this one could get ugly fast, which I'm kind of hoping it does. So I will lay the 21.5 with Indiana. I expect a dominating road win, something like in the mid-40s for the Hoosiers and maybe in the mid to low teens for Maryland. So
that'll get it done, Scooter. That's good math skills on your part there.
It is. Listen, I know I throw out these points. Just mentioning last week real quick, my Central Michigan, I said would be in the mid to high 30s, and UMass would be in the teens, low teens. Pretty much nailed that spot on. I'm just saying. But we'll go over the recap later in the podcast. Next, I have Pittsburgh over Stanford, laying another big number, 14.5. Again, the Panthers are coming in hot at 6-2, while Stanford's limping through another season, sitting at 3-5. ESPN predicts a 70% win percentage for Pittsburgh over Stanford here. The Panthers are a top 40 in total offense and one of the better defenses in the ACC.
Yeah.
Stanford, meanwhile, ranks near the bottom nationally in yards per play. They really just struggle to finish off drives. Even with the long trip out west, I will take Pitt's balance and physicality. Should be no problem for Stanford. I will lay the 14.5 points and back Pittsburgh to roll. Again, something like 35-17. I like to throw out the numbers, but Pitt covers on the road. And then I have Michigan over Purdue. Again, another huge number. I'm laying 21.5. Okay. Michigan's sitting at 6-2, obviously powered by one of the best rushing attacks in the Big Ten. They're averaging over 220 yards per game on the ground. Defensively, they're in the top 16, allowing just 16 points per game and ranking near the top nationally. Purdue, on the other hand, while they're 2-6, winless in conference play, it's not going to get any better against Michigan. Obviously, they're struggling to finish drives, putting up just nearly 17 points a game while giving up nearly 250 passing yards per game. It's a mismatch on both sides of the ball. Michigan's physicality up front should wear down Purdue's defense pretty much early in the game, and the Wolverines' ground game will control the tempo. Again, unless Michigan completely takes their foot off the gas, this one really shouldn't be close. Final score, I have Michigan in the mid to high 40s, Purdue in the teens. So Wolverines should cover 21.5 with plenty of room to spare. Bonus pick I have, because Tom had an earlier pick. I'm going to pick K-State over Texas. I'll let him talk about it, though, since it's also on his card.
So, Scooter, before I go to my card, let me talk about your card a little bit. So I was tracking everything you said there. I'm a big Pittsburgh guy. Last week, they are doing extremely well in the ACC.
They are.
I do think traveling west and having to play at Stanford can be a bit of a hiccup, but you're going really heavy on the favorites here. But actually, every one of these picks has a great justification. Michigan is home, right? And Purdue last week, I watched Purdue Rutgers, and I know you hit that game. It was ridiculous the way Purdue just finds ways to lose games, and then when they're playing a better opponent, they just get boat raced. So
they get boat raced.
You are really counting on the heavy favorites this week, but when I looked at the teams that they're playing, they are all legitimate major dogs.
They're bad.
They're not barking. They're not barking dogs.
They're not barking.
They're
I will
dogs
tell you this
ready
too.
You know what? When you put a dog down, that's what these three are like. They're like,
and I will say this: Pittsburgh has 3 tough games to finish off the season. They're against all ranked teams, so they have to win this game. I think
this
they're
is
going
one
to
you
win.
think they're not going to fall asleep on this one. You think
correct?
They're going to
correct.
Yeah.
They know the other ones are going to be tough, so I'm sure they got coaches in their ear saying, "Guys, we can't mess around here. We have to put them down and put them down early and just put this one to bed." So I do like that. I didn't love the fact that they are crossing the country to go to Stanford, but they have to win this game, and they have to win it convincingly.
Yeah. All right, so getting over to my picks, right, these 3 picks. I'll start with that Kansas State, Texas Tech, which is your bonus pick. So I've been sort of on Kansas State, right? I really liked them last week against Kansas, and they crushed Kansas. They struggled early in the year. They lost that game overseas to Iowa State to start the season. And then they really had what I would call sort of their low was losing to Army, right? They lost to Army. They could not stop the option. They had no time of possession, and they continued to struggle a couple of games after that, where they just were not. I mean, this is a talented football team that just had a lot of problems early in the year getting things organized and getting things under control. But now they're starting to hit their stride. And this is not something I put out there as an official play when we get to the futures, but they are 35-1 to win the Big 12. And I am strongly considering throwing like a few dollars on that. And the reason for it is there is a path I know there's 2 5-0 teams, right? I mean, you got Cincinnati, Texas Tech is 4-1. Cincinnati's undefeated. BYU, who's a complete fraud in my mind, they're 5-0. So you've got to have everything go right for Kansas State to make it into a championship game and win the Big 12. But I think they're a more talented team than all those teams, just like I think Utah is, right? Utah, I've got over 8.5 wins. I still think I can get there with that. I am taking Texas Tech is going to get their comeuppance this week. This is a team that is feasted on weak opponents. They've got banged up quarterbacks right now. Everybody is like loving this team, and they are ripe for the picking. And they are basically, Kansas State is home getting a touchdown. And I will jump on that all day. If it's wrong, I'm not going to regret the bet. This is one of those games where I would say, if Texas Tech proves me wrong, let's see them do it. Because I just don't see a banged up quarterback, overvalued team who's feasted on, like last week, they feasted on Oklahoma State, right? There's been game after game where I watched that team and they have just, they're not playing anybody. The one legitimate win was they did beat Utah in an early window game. They beat them and they beat them badly. And so I had to take a pause on my knocking of Texas Tech, but I'm back this week. And I'm quacking hard here with Kansas State. Give me the touchdown. And by the way this is scripted, that K-State over Texas Tech +7, the team that we are picking on the left is the team that's got the line on the right. So Kansas State is getting the touchdown, and they are home. Just to clarify that. Same thing with the next game. Nebraska is getting 6 at home over a USC team who is off a bye and well coached with Lincoln Riley. However, that place is going to be rocking. Matt Rule and Nebraska have been playing pretty good football. They've had a couple of disappointments, but I like them. Give me a 6-pack with that team at home in a game that's late in the day. I believe it's not an early game, which I like the late games with these home teams. And Nebraska is a legitimate team who's improved on the upswing with a good coach. And I'm not saying they're going to win the game. What I'm betting on here is I like the value of getting the 6 points. Now, this last game, Troy over Arkansas State, is an interesting game because Troy has got a better record, but they are dominating at home. And they are only laying a touchdown. In Arkansas State, when you start betting these Sun Belt games, you're taking a risk. But Troy's been good to us this year. And I like them at a touchdown, inside a touchdown, or at a touchdown against a team that I looked at the Arkansas State schedule. It has not really been that impressive. Troy played Clemson, if you remember, early in the year, and they were up 16-0 on them.
They played them well.
Clemson wound up winning the game as predicted. It was 27-16.
But
it was
I think
a tight game.
I think I had Troy that week, and with the points, and they covered, or Clemson did not cover.
They covered easily because they got the lead early, right? And it was a large spread. But the bigger thing here is Arkansas State does not play particularly well on the road, and Troy plays very well at home. So when you bet a Sun Belt game, you have to have some trend that you like, because otherwise you're just shooting in the dark at these games. And what I like about this is Troy is home, and they could be behind in this game 10-0 early, because that stuff happens in these games. And you could see them winning the game 38-21 or something like that, right?
They scored.
And they've done that before, and they are very good at creating turnovers. And I just like the situation in this game. Now, the double dog money line barking parlay, so many options. I considered SMU this week over Miami, decided not to do it. Colorado got completely annihilated by Utah last week in really, really badly. And they're so wounded that they're getting like 4.5 points against a pretty pedestrian Arizona team who doesn't play great on the road. So what I did here is I took 2 home dogs. Georgia Tech, everybody's now thinking Georgia Tech is pie in the sky, right? They're going to get their comeuppance. And I'm taking 2 home dogs and it's a double dog money. They're going to bark loudly. But I will tell you that I did consider SMU in this, which would have been better odds. I didn't like the early game. I didn't like the fact that Miami didn't play that great last week, even though they won. Plus, they're coming off the week before the Louisville loss. SMU laid an egg against Wake.
Yeah,
I know I've got SMU, right? A Futures has them winning the ACC. They're still live for that.
they are.
But I didn't want to put them in this parlay. So I settled on two home teams who got beat badly last week. NC State by Pitt, Colorado by Utah, coming back home. They were both on the road, coming back home in two inconsistent leagues where anything can happen, and give me plus 630 on those two teams to win outright.
The only thing I will add, Tom, Nebraska, USC, 7:30. It's a 7:30 p.m. game.
I love it, right? Because it's going to be that place will be right. Nebraska's just dying to have a good football team. And I also think that USC finds ways they're a pretty good team, but they have found ways historically to stumble and bumble at times.
Mess up a
right?
little bit. And I do like Troy. I like Troy over Arkansas State. I like that pick as well.
Yeah. That could come into the Westgate contest down the road. You never know.
It could.
Yeah. You love it. I think you did. I think you fed off my Troy bet before in that contest. So
I did. It was 2 weeks ago, and it was a victory. We got the NFL next. You want to go? You want me to go? We both have Lions over Vikings again.
I mean, why don't you go first? I just talked a lot. Go through yours. Mine are going to be quick here, I think.
So obviously Minnesota's traveling to Detroit. I think Detroit will roll over Minnesota. I know JJ McCarthy's returning. I don't know if that's going to be enough for really anything for Minnesota.
Wentz is out for the season. Wentz is out for the season.
Yeah. So it was interesting because the whole thing about should he have been playing, because clearly he was hurting. And according to O'Connell, right? Kevin O'Connor.
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah,
O'Connor?
Yep, that's right.
According to him, he said that he met with the doctors. He couldn't hurt it. He couldn't injure it worse. And Wentz really wanted to play. Clearly, he probably shouldn't have. And then finally, last week, he's like, okay, let's get it done. So he's out for the year. He's having surgery on the non-throwing shoulder. And JJ
he's still
is
not that old a guy, Scooter. I think that he still's got some juice in the tank.
Listen, he's a more than capable backup, but he will never be anything else.
Oh, I agree with that, but I still think he could come back as a backup.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Dan Campbell was going to go for it no matter what with the Lions. So
we know that, right?
We know that.
Dan Quinn.
So, but I'll lay the 8.5. I think Lions cover this pretty easily, to be honest with you. I don't see them. I really see this 2-touchdown lead by the end of this game, if not more. So I took the Lions over the Vikings, and I will lay the 8.5 points. McCoy and the Titans, since it's no longer Callahan and the Titans. So I'm taking the Chargers over the Titans. I'm also laying another 8.5 points. I know the Chargers are going to be on the road, traveling in Tennessee. Nothing can help the Titans. Nothing. I do have.
What about the coaching? The coaching can help them. They got good coaching.
McCoy, I believe. Can I go back a few slides? Should we go back a few slides? I think McCoy made our boneheads already. He's been a coach for 2 weeks, and he's already on the list. So yeah, I don't think it's going to do too much. But I will take. Listen, I think Cam Ward is not a bust. I think he can be
I agree with that.
A very good quarterback. I think he'll fight like heck to try to win this game. The problem is he's the only one I think that could move the needle, and I don't see it happen. I think Herbert and the Chargers will kind of roll, kind of the same thing. I think by the end of the game, it's a 2-touchdown lead, if not more. And I will take Chargers, and I'll lay the 8.5. Then I had to pick a third game, and I didn't really like a lot of the other games. So what do? I like Sam Darnold. I like what he's doing in Seattle. I know if Washington was home in this game, I probably would lean the Commanders. Oh, wait. The Washington Commanders are at home, and I'm still taking Sam and Seattle because I don't think Washington can get it done. So I will take Dan Quinn going for it in the wrong way yet again, and I will take Darnold. I'll lay the 3 points. I think they're going to win this game. They're going to start to take control of the NFC West, and I will take the Seahawks and lay the 3 points. And I have my no upset teaser, I'm calling it this week. So Lions, I'm laying 2.5. Chargers, 2.5. And Rams, I'm laying 8 for my no upset
against
teaser.
the Saints. Wow. You're going to go from 14 to 8. Yep.
14 to 8.
Yep. Off a bye, right? For the Rams.
Yep.
I think. Right.
And they can't be happy about that last loss before the bye.
No, but I mean they beat Jacksonville. They beat them up, and now they're catching their stride. I mean they're going to be a great survivor pick. We'll get to that in a little bit later on. But all right, so my picks. I'm with you on the Lions. I don't really like laying points, a large number of points.
And it's a large, especially in the NFL. I mean, I did it last week with the Colts. And can I just say Daniel Jones MVP? Can I say it again?
You can keep saying it. We'll see. You'll see in my double dog parlay that I go against him one more time. But
yes, I see
that. But here's the thing with the Vikings. I picked them in the beginning. I had Denver and the Vikings as my sort of like plus 400, and Seattle. Those were my 3 teams. 2 of them are live. Denver could win the AFC West.
Absolutely.
Seattle can win the NFC West. Minnesota cannot win the NFC North, right? And the reason is as much as I've sort of berated Daniel Jones, Kevin O'Connell, who is a very good quarterback coach and has made quarterbacks successful one after another, including Sam Darnold, did not see enough in Daniel Jones to keep him. And because I think they love J.J. McCarthy. And he still may turn out down the road to be the guy, right? We'll see. But I don't think if he comes back, now you got Wentz out. It's a banged up. I think the defense has been a little fraudulent, right? Brian Flores is blitzing and he has all sorts of blitz packages. Teams are figuring that out. And Dan Campbell and his team is so talented, and they're home and they're rested. And I just think that they're going to really come out in this game and take a division rival in boat racing.
To the woodshed.
Yep. So that is why I'm laying the 8.5. These other 2 games on here are slightly different reasons. You know that I'm biased to the Bills. The Bills, I think, vented themselves last week. They came off a bye, they went down, and they just crushed Carolina after that awful performance against a terrible Atlanta team. I don't know what to expect, what to make of that team. So the Bills are now going to be very, very focused on this game. They took care of Carolina in a very, very dominant way off a bye.
Convincing.
They're a healthier team. And I think the Chiefs are a little bit drunk on their own beer right now. They're now the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Everyone thinks they're great. Rice is back. Mahomes is great. Andy Reid is great. That's all true, right? You can't combat that. But now you're telling me that it's right for the Chiefs, who early in the year were higher odds for the Super Bowl than the Bills, now are so good that they can go to Buffalo and lay 2.5 points.
Yeah.
When the Ravens were giving 2.5 to Kansas City earlier this year. There's something about this line I don't like. So I'm taking the Bills. I'm taking Josh Allen. I'm taking the Buffalo fans to just take the Chiefs, behind the woodshed and teach them a lesson this week. That's what I'm looking to do.
It'll be interesting about the weather, too, in this game with Hurricane Melissa coming up the coast.
Yeah, and I hope the weather is as bad and horrible as so that Pat Mahomes, a good wind would blow him over versus Josh Allen. So,
well, that's true. They're not built the same.
No, they're not. I mean, Mahomes is good if somebody almost hits him, pretending that he hit him out of bounds.
Yeah, he falls right down.
Yeah, he's good at that. And then we got the Cowboys. So this is a guy with one leg talking about Patrick Mahomes' physical conditioning, by the way, which I love. Yeah, I can barely get off the freaking chair, and I can sit here and tell you that Patrick Mahomes could be blown off by a shovel, knock him to the ground. Which, by the way, he's happy to represent, so he can get a 15-yard penalty on it.
Yes, he is.
And then we got the Cowboys over the Cardinals. There is something about this line I don't like. It's almost like took me away from it. It's inside a field goal. And Dallas, when they get home after this sort of embarrassing game against Denver, I think they're going to come right back and rebound. And the Cardinals, which is a team I liked at the beginning of the year, I actually had a large Super Bowl future on them at like 60-1. I just think they're in a tough spot. The only thing about the Cardinals is they're coming off a bye, and maybe they've calibrated. But I can't get the Titan loss out of my head. I like you're going into Dallas inside a field goal, in a game and it's a Monday night game. I've got to take the Cowboys here, inside a field goal. It's a principle bet more than anything else. I don't really want them to win. I'd be happy being 2-1 and having that be my loss this week, but as a handicapper, I just can't see why Dallas is not going to be able to go home and get this win.
I like the bet because after last week, I like they were embarrassed in Denver, so I like
poorly
the bet.
Coached, right? Yes, yeah.
Who's quarterbacking for the Cardinals? Do you know? Is
I
Kyler
think
playing?
Murray. Yeah, I think he will. Oh, yeah. The line would be different if he wasn't, right? I mean, I didn't do a ton of research early in the week on that, but I just – it wouldn't matter if it's not Murray. I'm even liking this bet better. Let's put it that way. I'm handicapping this as though Murray's quarterbacking.
So he's still listed as questionable on the injury report, but I'm not saying it makes
anything. This line actually almost stinks so much that I shouldn't be betting it because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I will tell you. Right now it says he was on the field for Tuesday's bonus practice session. So, but he's still listed as questionable with a foot.
The Cardinals have bonus practice sessions. What the hell does that mean? I don't know.
I don't know, but they need all the help they can get.
They need a lot of bonuses, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then the double dog parlay. I mean, look, we all know that the Steelers and Bengals had bad games last week. But you know what? The Bengals are playing the Bears. The Bears, to me, I'm so sick of hearing about Caleb Williams.
I agree.
And in the whole Bear thing and, the Detroit offensive coordinator and Ben Johnson, blah, blah, blah. You know what? You went in and you laid an egg to the Ravens, and you're going to lay an egg this week. And if Joe Flacco doesn't play, I think Browning will prove himself because he was good last year. So I'm going with the Bengals, and I'm going with the Steelers. O'Leary will be happy to see this. They're going to take Daniel Jones and make him look a little more ordinary this week. Indiana Jones is going to be Danny Dimes this week, and Steelers are going to blitz him.
Indiana's going to be flying high. He's going to be running away from boulders and using the whip called his right arm.
Here's the thing with this game.
And down the Steelers.
Here's the thing with this game, okay, why I think that he doesn't like getting blitzed. He's Danny Boy. He likes a lot of protection. The Steelers like to blitz. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the ball out quick enough. It's poor, but if they get to him, it won't be. O'Leary told me that he thinks people are thinking Watt is dried up. If that's what he's hearing, I don't think he is. I think he's going to have a big game.
No, I don't think he is. They had a bad game. They did, but I don't think he's I don't think he's washed up. So
you don't like that. You don't like the parlay, but that's where we're going.
I don't like the parlay. It's plus 450. I like Bengals over the Bears. I don't like Steelers over the Colts.
You should just be putting a future in on the Colts. You should just put one in right now.
I did. I put Daniel Jones MVP.
Oh my God, that's just wasting money.
I noticed that you picked the Bills and the Bears, which are two teams that kind of screwed you when we had a chance to win
I didn't pick the Bears. I picked against the Bears here.
Well, that's what I mean. The Bears screwed you, so now you're picking against them. The Bills screwed us with Atlanta, and you're going with them again.
with them. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Glutton for punishment. Let's talk winners and losers. So, week 8 winners and losers. Listen, I was wrong about the Packers and the Steelers. I had the Steelers all day on that one. And Jordan Love proved me wrong. I had him under 242 yards passing. Clearly, he cruised past that mark with 3 touchdowns, 29 of 37, and 360 yards. He had a heck of a game. Then we have running backs. Are they making a comeback here? Running backs are becoming premium weapons again. You got Jonathan Taylor and James Cook combined for 369 yards running and 2 touchdowns apiece for 4 touchdowns. And they're not the only running backs making noise this year.
And Scooter, do you know that Taylor had a 3rd touchdown as a receiver? He got a little flare pass from Daniel Jones. So those are just the rushing yards. He actually had
those are just rushing yards. Correct.
Yeah.
They weren't. These aren't scrimmage yards. These are strictly running. And then you got to give it to Mike McDaniel.
Oh,
I did not see this coming. He was I could have given this to obviously the New York Jets as well, but I gave it to Mike McDaniel because the way his body language was, I just think
you might have him spelled. You might have his name spelled wrong, but I love the way you spelled it. But I'll tell you this: he took out so many players, so many participants in the Circus Survivor.
Yes,
with that we are ecstatic with Mike McDaniel. He's my hero this week. They took out over almost 1,400 survivors. Took Atlanta. They never had a chance.
No.
In that. Never had a chance.
34-3 or 31-3 at some point, I think. It was never close.
Oh, yeah. 31-3.
Atlanta was never in the game.
If you were an Atlanta backer, you might as well have just gone home.
Yep.
Right after the first quarter.
And I did catch some flack. Clearly, I put a few bets in this past week about the Jets going 0-17. And they did not. They got their first win, which also took out another 780 people from the circuit by the Bengals going down. So I think if anyone was watching that first half, they thought it was an easy win. And then that fourth quarter started.
Can you imagine having Cincinnati in that and watching that demise?
Demise.
Oh,
Unreal.
My goodness. It's almost like having Arizona against the Titans. Maybe not quite as bad.
Yeah. And then we have some losers. I put Mike Tomlin in my losers. The defense was just, they imploded on him. They couldn't do anything.
Too many field goals for Mike in the first half, though. You gotta,
go for it more.
He maybe should go for it a little more.
Maybe go for it a little more.
Him and Dan Quinn ought to be together, right?
The Cincy defense, not the Cindy defense, but the Cincy defense, again, they play like Cindy. They're the issue in Cincinnati. Until they fix that defense, they're gonna have these games where they just crap them away. And
Joe Flacco needs to score 50 a game rather than 40 a game.
Than 40. And not that there was a ton of MVP buzz and stuff about Dak Prescott this year, but it was starting to build. And after this week with Denver, clearly that I think that's put to bed. He won't be getting the MVP. So they got embarrassed. Now we have a couple of overreactions. Is the tush push dead? It sounds like it is finally dead, and it's going to die not because of threat of injury to players, not because they think teams have an unfair advantage. It's going to be dead because they can't officiate the play. All we've heard this year is how many false starts there have been that haven't been called on the tush push. And what happened to the Giants was unbelievable. They're treating the first down in a tush push like it's the goal line, but it's not. It's a live play. Clearly, Jalen Hurts was still moving. Clearly, it was a fumble. And for them to say that it was an inadvertent whistle, when you clearly hear the whistle well after the play, the tush push is dead, and it should be dead. It's a horrible play. It is no fun. No one likes it from a fan standpoint, except if you're an Eagle fan, I guess. But the tush push, I think, is dead. Would you agree?
I don't know if it'll be dead, but I wouldn't mind if it was. Like, in other words, if you're saying that events like that are going to lead to it dying, I'd be happy with that. That's fine.
Again, I don't think they can officiate it. So either fix the officiating of it and call the false starts and call this correctly, and it can stay. But if they can't officiate it, they have to kill it.
Yeah. Yep.
Will the Colts earn the number 1 seed in the AFC? I say yes.
No. Absolutely.
Who's taking them down? They got 1 loss. They're doing it.
They will find many ways to lose games down the stretch. I'm
overreacting. I'm putting them as my number 1 seed. Another overreaction is the Cowboy season finally slipping away now? You have them winning this week, which in turns would mean you don't believe the Cowboy season slipping away. You think they still have a chance?
I think they have a chance maybe to get a long wild card shot, right?
It would be a wild card. I mean, they're not winning the division.
But, I mean, Scooter, if you look at the teams that are sort of alive, right? I mean, Green Bay, Detroit in the north, Tampa Bay. I don't trust Atlanta. Tampa Bay in the south wins the division probably. And then you do have the Rams, Seattle, and 49ers as viable. So that gives you sort of the 3 wild cards if you consider Detroit, San Francisco, and Seattle as them. And there's no one that's going to – then Dallas would be the next one. So
right, I agree.
They would have to be good enough. But I think the fraud in there is the 49ers. I think the Giants might beat them this week. I almost had them in the double dog area. So, I don't think they're that good. So the question's going to be, if Dallas could keep winning some of these games at home, could they accumulate just enough wins to make it interesting against these? So I don't know. I don't think it's dead. It's slipping away, maybe. I mean, they needed to win that Denver game was a game I thought they needed to win.
They needed it.
Right. But this one's is more urgent, right? Against Arizona.
Oh, 100%. They can't lose this game.
Right.
If they lose this game, then it's 100% slipping away. Because I think it's just too many losses for them to overcome.
Agreed.
Well, jumped ahead there. Quick recaps. We're getting close to an hour here, so we're gonna wrap this up a little quicker. Last week, Tom and I both went 2-1, 2 in the college, only 1 pro. None of my 6-point teaser didn't have a chance. The Bucks and the Pats crushed those Saints and Browns, so your double dog there never had a chance. And Steelers took you down, and Cowboys took me down.
And then Brian Kelly took me down in the college double dog. Double dog barking parlay. So I'm still bitter about that, but he lost his job over not getting that done. So that's
and I will say Auburn played a pretty heck of a game because they won that easily.
Yeah.
And I was completely wrong about Ole Miss. Ole Miss showed up and played a heck of a game. I mean,
you got burned with them the week before, and you sort of thought they were going to
Yeah, but I still liked Oklahoma's defense. I really thought I thought Mateer would show up a little bit, but Ole Miss, that defense was Ole Miss handled that completely.
Yeah, they did well. They played well.
Yep. This is where we stand right now. Obviously, after 9 weeks of college, 8 weeks of pros, I am 26-22 overall. Still below 500 on my NFL picks, but above 500 on my college. Tom is at 500 on his college and well above on the NFL. So he has 1 more win, but we have the same amount of losses. But his win percentage is he'd be a half a game ahead of me.
You're going to try to fix that this week by picking the 4th game, right?
By picking the 4th game.
Yeah.
All right, here we have a new slide here. Let me get this up there.
Yeah.
Add that to the stage. Here's some futures and some add-ons for Tom.
Yeah, so I'll be quick because I know we're running a little long here, but these are just some things. So, look at this Spurs thing, most wins regular season, right? They start off 4-0. And if you look at the Spurs at this point, they have a young team. They are extremely strong. I've watched them in several games, this year, not only preseason games, but the 4 games that they've won. They look very, very formidable. And so I don't mean that they're just going to beat the weaker teams in the West. So I've put them in the other day, 40-1 to win have the most wins in the regular season, right? Just we already have them over 44.5 wins. I've got their coach of the year. You'll see at the bottom, their coach of the year. I got it 25-1. Look at where he is now.
Plus
in 4 games in, he's at 470.
Yeah.
Dylan Harper from Rutgers, 16-1. Okay, he's dropped to 15-1. Not a big change there. Spurs to win the West, 35-1, now 25-1. And then the other one I wanted to brag about was Pavia. I got him at 80-1. Now he's 8.5-1. I got some I wouldn't brag about. Going back up to the top here, I threw your Old Miss because of their prowess here. Now they could go and lay an egg this week after the big win last week, and they shouldn't beat Georgia. But I got them at 20-1 on MGM. So I threw them in for small play. Nice. I already talked about the Spurs with the most wins. And then looking at the hoops early on, John Calipari's team looks loaded this year. And in Michigan has Dusty May as their coach and has a bunch of guys coming in that are supposed to be very strong. They've lost some guys. But these odds look like really good initial value. So just before we get into the season where these odds start shifting, those were the two that I projected early on as being good value plays. 27-1 on Calipari in Arkansas, 20-1 on Dusty May in Michigan. And we'll probably have some more of that maybe next week.
Yeah.
So
the season does kick off soon. So
it does, right? So you should be starting to look at that. My favorite play on this, by the way, is looking at that Mitch Johnson Coach of the Year, going from 25-1 to 470.
To 470. That is amazing.
In 4 games, right?
That's unreal. Now you have Spurs most wins. I mean, that's. And
nice remember we got Spurs over 44.
Oklahoma.
We got Spurs over 44.5, right? We put that in as there's some good things that have started on just the standard plays too. So.
Has OKC lost a game yet?
No, they haven't. Yeah, you got them winning 70 games, though, Scooter.
I do.
They won 2 overtime games. Come on. I mean,
back to back, but they won.
Yes, they did.
And the last thing we're going to show off.
This is the best slide of all.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. I had another good week. I went 5-2, and I'm not going to lie. I don't know how I went 5-2. It took a monumental effort by FAU to come back and get 14 points in the last.
If you look at how that happened, it's crazy.
Oh,
it really is.
I don't know. Not to mention, we already mentioned it. Rutgers kicking a late field goal, and I was giving in 2.5, and they covered. They kick a field goal to beat Purdue by 3.
So you had a legitimate shot at that anyway.
Yeah, but overtime, it's always close to be a 1-point game there.
Right.
And I'm giving 2.5. So, but they kick a last second field goal to win that one. So I was pulling my hair, my lack of hair, but whatever hair I had left, I was pulling out on Saturday, stressing. But it works out. I'm still in first place. I even extended my lead by a couple. Instead of being 1 up, I'm now 3 up. And listen.
Now, so just to give you a little perspective on this, because you're bragging, but not really legitimately bragging. There are over 1,000 entries in this. Okay. This is out of the Westgate. This is a contest that we entered. We've got 4 guys that have sort of pooled money and entered the Circus Survivor, entered, this college pool, and also entered NFL pool. So there's multiple contests that we're involved in. This college contest has over 1,000 participants in it, and we have 3 entries in it. You'll see that the second of the 3, which is managed by Scooter, has a 3-game lead over some of the best handicappers. I mean, you go down to Bear Bets at 40.5. That's Chris Felica, who's an ESPN highly touted handicapper. You are basically using a few tools to create your 7 picks every week. You pick 7 games every week, And out of over 1,000 people, you are sitting in first place by 3 games over the other 1,000 entrants. That's an impressive accomplishment. Now, it's only 9 weeks, and we all recognize this is a 14-week contest, right? So we can brag about it now because that's what's fun about it. It may not be there next week, right?
It may
but
not.
We hope it is.
I can very easily go 1-6. But we're not going to happen. Keep it rolling. Not going to happen. Right. We're going to keep it rolling. That, friends of the show, is it. That is episode 19 in the books. We will be back next week. I think the camera was much better this week, Tom. You sounded great as well with the microphone. I got the earbuds in.
It took us a while to get that. It took us a while to get that technology right, but it seemed to work. Right. So
we're working on it. We'll get it done. I did want to mention one thing. The Internet Invitational by Barstool Sports and Bob Does Sports, or Barstool Foreplay Golf and Bob Does Sports. Episode 1 and 2 is out. Episode 1 was 3 hours long. I expect episode 2 to be a little shorter. It's a good watch. If you like YouTube golf, it's a lot of fun. They're playing for $1.7 million. 48 content creators, 48 YouTube golfers. Any YouTube golfer you've probably heard of in the past is probably playing there. Paige Sporonic, Claire Hogle, to name a couple, not to mention the Brian Bros, Grant Horvat, Bob Does Sports, Garrett Clark, and the good guys. It's a lot of fun to watch. Tune in. Episode 2 dropped Thursday on the 30th. I think there's 7 episodes, so it'll be coming out. So Internet Invitational, check it out. Other than that is episode 19, and we will see you all next week.